Hi, it's Ben. This is my assignment 11. I guess we'll just get started right away. I don't really have anything to say to you this time. What is Hamlet about? So, Hamlet is a grad student from school and he's returning home to Denmark. And his dad, Hamlet Sr., dies, and his mom, Gertrude, almost immediately remarries his uncle, Claudius, before he even gets home. He meets his ghost dad the next night, and his ghost dad says, "Hey, I was murdered, like my brother did it, Claudius, and you need to get revenge for me and kill him." So Hamlet's fatal flaw is procrastination, so he doesn't want to get it done right away. He avoids it and avoids it until it's like the perfect time and ends up being too late at the end. But it's also because he isn't sure he's guilty. He doesn't truly believe that Claudius did kill him because he didn't have proof yet. So he goes ahead and puts on a play and invites a bunch of actors in that shows the scene of a king being poisoned in his ear by his brother, which is what happened in the real story as well, and just to see Claudius's reaction to this. So he does that, and Claudius, sure enough, leaves. So then he goes to have a private talk with his mom just about life stuff, because it's pretty interesting at this point. And she starts screaming for help because he's getting really aggressive, and someone else starts screaming in the room too behind a hanging tapestry on the wall. So he just goes ahead and stabs the tapestry, hoping it's Polonius, or not Polonius, sorry, hoping that it's Claudius. It turns out to be Polonius, and now he's just killed an innocent man. So he was going to be sent back to France, I believe, on a ship as punishment for that, to just get away, because things were not going well. But the ship gets taken over by pirates, or such and such happens, and he ends up coming back to learn that his girlfriend Ophelia committed suicide because her dad died, which is Hamlet's fault because he killed her dad. And her brother Laertes, I'm not really sure how to say it, is super mad because now his dad's dead and his sister's dead, all because of Hamlet. So he invites Hamlet to a fencing match, and Claudius is all on board for this because at this point he wants Hamlet dead as well. So Claudius is in. They poison Laertes' sword, and there's a glass of wine there for Hamlet too that's also poisoned. So in the fight, Hamlet's getting a lot of hits in, and then Laertes gets one off on Hamlet too, but of course is with the poisoned sword, so he's gonna die as well. But they start grappling, and then Hamlet gets the poison sword and cuts Laertes. So now they're both gonna die, and in celebration, because Gertrude thought that Hamlet had won the fight, she drinks the glass of wine, and it's poison, so now she's gonna die as well. This is also she kind of shows her true self, that she is after all loyal to her son in the end, but that's a deeper story we're getting into. And then right now that they're all dying, it's Hamlet's opportunity. It's the perfect chance for him to finally kill Claudius. So he makes him drink the wine from the cup and stabs him with the poison sword as well, or kills him twice from the unit quiz. And then Horatio's the only one that lives to tell the tale. In his dying moments, he's tell the people what happened here today. And that's basically a quick recap. I don't want to waste the whole video on that. So what did I get from the play, now that we have a hot recap on that? One of the connections to pop culture would be Snow White. So I know The Lion King is based off this play, but Snow White, Snow White and Hamlet both lose a parent at the beginning of the play, and the second parent is very quickly to remarry. So in Snow White, or no, in Hamlet, he loses his dad, who's the king. In Snow White, she loses her mom, who's the queen. In Hamlet, his mom remarries right away. In Snow White, her dad remarries the evil queen right away. So it's almost an archetype, since Snow White was obviously so much later than Hamlet, yet not similar. Archetype in the character background, not so much as a copy of the story like The Lion King. Another example of pop culture reference, well, not popular culture, but Chris Brown and Rihanna versus Hamlet and Ophelia. So they both get into a fight, and they're both changed after the fight for different reasons. Chris Brown and Rihanna, obviously, than what happened between Ophelia and Hamlet, but still similar enough that they lose contact, and it's going to damage them both deeply, just because they don't have that emotional connection anymore, and it leads to Ophelia's suicide in the Hamlet version of that. The enduring message or theme of the play, well, one of them anyway that I got was think things through before you act. So I know that Hamlet, his fatal flaw is thinking things through too much, but there's actually a case that we'll get to where he doesn't think it through enough. So we'll start with Gertrude. She immediately takes the throne from Hamlet without thinking about it. So while Hamlet's on his way home, he just graduated school. He doesn't know any of this, and he finds out his father's dead and that he's the rightful heir to the throne, but his mom just ultimately didn't give it to him. So she's remarried to someone else who gets the throne taken away from him. His father was murdered by his uncle, and his uncle is now the king instead of him. So he's got a lot to be upset about, and that was Gertrude thinking before she acted. Polonius, he had a big, like, hey, you should probably think about this before you do it. He was spying on Hamlet, and if he didn't spy, then he wouldn't have been killed, like, behind the tapestry by Hamlet, and so then Ophelia wouldn't have killed herself. Laertes wouldn't have challenged Hamlet to that duel, so that means that there never would have been a poisoned sword or poisoned wine. So then Hamlet, Ophelia, Laertes, Gertrude would all still be alive if Polonius just wasn't in that place at that time. So that's really his fault. Oh, and we're creeping up on 6 minutes here. So I have one more example, I'll wrap it up. Hamlet. So he stabs Polonius without hesitation, and that is like, it's Polonius' fault for spying and being there, but also the blame could be totally put on Hamlet, because who just stabbed somebody without even seeing who it is? And so you could argue that Hamlet led to Ophelia and Laertes and everyone, all the royal family's deaths between both sides. Okay, that's about it. Hope you enjoyed my recap. Have a good night. Sorry, this video is so long.